So we got something pretty special I'm excited for. What's happening, Nathaniel?
Oh, what's happening? What's happening, Cake? Oh, I'll tell you what's happening, okay? We have, this is great, our first ever developer interview. We have Max Ponoroff, the lead developer on Starstruck prologue. So let's welcome him.
Yes,
guys.
Please welcome Max Ponoroff.
How you just that? Oh, we're
hello.
He's a little shy. So oh my god.
Okay, I was wondering where those were because I want those so bad. I would buy them so in a second. So for those who don't know, this is one of the figures from the game that's used for some of the shots. So cute. How are you, Max?
I'm good. I'm fine. How's everyone there?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk to you after playing your game. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I watched you play. Thanks for trying it out.
So how are you doing today?
Yeah, how's quarantine treating you?
I'm losing my mind. I'm playing with these dolls and everything. Like I don't know what I'm doing. No, I'm hanging in there. This is a nice break to talk with you guys instead of being trapped alone in my apartment. So thanks for that.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. To start, I mean, where did this game come from? What was your inspiration to make it?
So there are three well, there's a lot of inspirations, but the three main ones are so there's this Japanese developer from the 90s called Createdelic, and a lot of their games are Japan only, but those people, their work inspires me a lot. Another one is Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which we all know that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a huge inspiration. And another one is the movie Playtime by Jacques Tati. And so that was another huge inspiration. So those are the main three.
What happens in Playtime? I don't know that movie either.
Oh, it's a French movie from the 60s or something, or 70s. It's people say it's like one of the greatest movies ever, and I agree. It's pretty good.
Ooh, okay. 1967, the masterpiece of all comedies. Okay.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's such a funny movie. I love it so much.
So I really loved how many sort of different concepts there were for this game. Like I couldn't really put a genre on it. So was there ever a simpler version, or did you just I want to do it all and I'm gonna do it?
So the artist made the town, which you saw, right? And
yeah.
So the artist made that. And then when I was putting it all together in the game, I felt like, I don't know, if you see a stack of blocks or something, I don't know if you're a little kid, at least for me, I was like, well, I want to knock it over. Right? Right? So I felt like that. I saw this town, I just want to knock everything over and destroy it. And so, the person in the ship with the hands was already part of the story. So I figured, well, if I put it together like this, it can actually work really well. So that's how that came to be. But yeah, it started out with just the music stuff.
I had some kind of Earthbound vibes from the game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a fan of that game. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did it's also what you have is a very unique art style. It reminds me almost of an anime. It feels like an animated movie. How did the art style evolve? How did you come to that style?
So yeah, I looked at when the artist showed me stuff, I'm like, yeah, I would see a movie that looked like this. They kind of blow me away with what they've done. But yeah, so how did it come back? I mean, I don't do the art, so I can't really talk about that a lot, but I remember some of the conversations early on, especially, were about combining obviously a diorama look, and then combining that with how the backgrounds looked on the pre-rendered backgrounds on PlayStation 1 games of games from that time period.
Ooh.
And that in particular helps me a lot because I do the lighting, and so that helps me with the diorama style. It's supposed to look artificial but also nostalgic, and then I think the lighting from that, the shading, it's hard to explain, but that comes together, and I think it pushes it further. So that's sort of the style.
It almost looks like a little like stop motion,
yeah, there's definitely some stop motion bits and there's so many art styles. I really enjoyed seeing all of them. So so what's the inspiration for sort of the main characters in the story?
Like her?
Yeah.
So the main character, what do you mean? Like how they look or their personality or what do
I
you?
guess, yeah, all of the above.
So I didn't really design them. That was the artist, so I can't really say. But in terms of the personality, I just kind of, thought what would be the most interesting characters for this situation and how all their stories would tie together. Obviously there's, in the game, it's hinted at what some of the other inspirations are. Like Edwin, it hints in the game that his name is the same name as Buzz Aldrin. Buzz
Oh,
Aldrin's
right.
first name.
Mhm.
And Buzz Aldrin was the first man on the moon, right? And then you have the captain in the spaceship who is the first person from the moon to go to Earth. So you could see how they're opposites, right? The first person from Earth to go to the moon. And so there's definitely some stuff related to real world events like that. But mostly, yeah, it's just what characters would be interesting to make the story good.
Who would you call, because there's a lot of characters and you also play as the person in the space, who would you say like the main character is?
Well, there's three. So it's Edwin, Dawn, and then the person in the spaceship.
I like that because I was wondering like who sort of held more importance. So it's very equal.
Yeah.
I really like Dawn. Was it in like she has kind of the Coraline jacket? Like I was
I do remember the character designer bringing up Coraline, so maybe that was related somehow. I don't really know how that came about, but yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really cool. Could you tell us more about the team at Createdelic and how you got involved?
So I met the original team members at a convention where they were. Yeah, I just kind of met them there, and we decided to work together after that because I'd always had an interest in making a video game one day. Mm-hmm. And then the team sort of just built from there, either from people I knew or people I met. So yeah, we all work from home. It's not some like huge studio or anything. It's a pretty small group of people.
How long did it take for you guys to make the prologue?
Maybe a couple years, but there's also a lot of content that's made that's not in the prologue, right? So it's progressed a lot further than that too, but yeah.
Because I don't like how does one go from being like, yeah, I want to make a game to actually doing it?
Well, I was already a software engineer, so I already knew how to program. Mm-hmm. So it really it's just applying the skills you have. Some people are artists, some people are composers, and if you have those skills, you could just apply it and you meet some other people who share a common interest. And at least for me, that it was that simple.
Did you always see yourself as hoping to one day become a game developer?
For a long time, I had a strong interest in it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I was always looking for opportunities.
That's really cool. What were like some of your favorite games as a kid?
As a kid, so like so I grew up playing a lot of Japanese games from like the 90s and early 2000s.
Right.
So a lot of stuff from that era are my favorite games because those like even like there's so much obscure stuff. Even stuff I find now from that era, I'm like, whoa, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So I just liked a lot of stuff from that era. I think it had like a lot of raw personality going on in that time, and that attracts me to it.
I really like I think my favorite game ever is Mother 3, and that's like that never came out in the US. That was only in Japan. I wish more American games had like the level of just like open weirdness and personality. And I think you captured that well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Like just like I feel like you guys did a lot of experimenting in this, and it paid off. I really enjoyed it.
And
the hand is great.
Glad you like it.
That felt a little SpongeBob to me.
Yeah. Actually, one of the writers on SpongeBob somehow found the game, and he was
really.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he seemed to be into it, which I thought was pretty amazing. Yeah.
That's like I feel like it's the highest praise you can get.
Yeah.
Sure.
So when you were, gaming as a kid, when was the point that you decided you wanted to be a game developer?
I don't know. Like probably. I mean, I mostly just thought I'd stick with software engineering for a long time. But then I kind of started doing that, and it was a great job, but like it was a great thing to be doing. But you know, I thought like, well, you obviously can't do stuff like create characters and stories and that, and that's I had an interest in that. So I guess it was really when I really decided it was when I was a software engineer.
Was there anything about making a game that was surprising to you that you didn't expect?
Yeah, how bad I was at it. there's a lot to learn.
I can imagine.
Well, as they say in Adventure Time, sucking at something is the first step to being sort of good at something.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it would be the first step at sucking forever, but
that's also true.
Hopefully that doesn't happen.
I mean, it hasn't, because I really enjoyed your game.
Yeah.
What is something that some advice you would give to someone who wanted to become a game developer?
I would say, like, really first be sure that you want to do it. Like, are you ready to, because it's getting more and more competitive every year, like maybe. So and also like it's very difficult and it takes a lot of time and everything. So I would say first, like, are you really sure you want to do it? And then if you really are sure you want to do it, then I would say, focus on creating the smallest thing possible. That's like the simplest, smallest thing that was going to do what you want it to do. Because I think, a lot of people, they think they're going to make Final Fantasy VII too. And I'm kind of, I kind of have to put myself down with that too. I mean, Starstruck is way too overcomplicated. I probably wouldn't make it that overcomplicated now, but yeah. So those are the main things I would say.
What was that small thing for you?
The small thing, like what?
Yeah, when you're saying it's like start by focusing on making the smallest thing possible.
Well, so like for an example, that would be if you're making a game, you might want to make a small demo first, right? Which probably something a lot smaller than Starstruck's prologue, but just something so that you could see, people can play it immediately and you could tell if it's going to be fun or not.
Right.
Because sometimes it's easy to spend sometimes people spend like years on an idea and it turns out it's not fun.
Right.
They just wasted all that time. Yeah.
Or like they're working on it, then someone comes out with a really similar thing before they're finished and they have to scrap it.
That could also happen. Yeah. So getting your idea out as quickly and as simply as possible can be helpful, I think.
Okay. Gotcha. I like that. How much did Starstruck change from your original vision of what you wanted it to be to the final product?
Changed a lot.
Yeah.
It took a while to figure out how everything was come together. And, originally, as I mentioned, it was just a music thing. And, the art took a long time to evolve. And, I learned a lot about how to do characters and story and that type of thing. So originally it was cringy. Yeah. So now it's maybe a little less cringy.
Do you think or I know you already have a lot of content that's going to be for the game, but do you think it will change at all from the prologue?
Maybe, like, probably not, like maybe extremely slightly. The thing is, if the prologue gets translated, then maybe that might change. Like the translation might change when the full game comes out, because there's like, for example, there's certain wordplay that the game does, like, with the word moles, right? Like you can't, that it turns out that doesn't work in other languages.
Right.
Which when I was told that, I was like, oh no. So depending on how that, that could be something that would be tricky, that might change in translations, but most of the time, most of the stuff is not going to be the same.
God.
Right.
What was some of the inspiration for the music?
So again, I'm not the composer, so I can't really say, but I remember some of the stuff that had been talked about was basically the music was, the idea is to make it like, it uses a lot of live instruments,
right?
Which I think goes with the game's like handmade theme. Like if you notice, the characters in the game, they have like thumbprints in their face. So we thought the live music would be important to to the theme, and also it sounds really good. And also, you know, I remember I threw in some ideas. Like I'm personally a fan of prog rock, so that ended up making it in.
Yeah.
But really, it was all the composers who, and especially the lead composer who.
It's such a love letter to so many different genres. I didn't even know it was possible to make a game that was compatible with the Guitar Hero guitar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. And some people have requested, I'm like, well, I guess I could try it out, but it turns out it works. So
yeah. Which is also, was that a difficult thing to code?
No, it was actually pretty easy.
Oh.
Yeah.
More games should have that then. More games should have
No, I want to be the only one. Don't. No one else can do it.
We won't tell anybody.
Yeah, just to say it was really hard to code, and no one else could do it.
Yeah.
It was so funny, like, because I knew you guys were watching, and I was like, so bad. I'm terrible at rhythm games, and I was just like, no, they're watching.
No, you did pretty good if I remember correctly.
Oh, thank you.
Do you know, like, I mean, I'm sure you get asked this a lot, but do you know, like, when you hope to release the full or at least next part of the game?
It'll be sometime next year.
Oh, nice.
Don't really know exactly when. I mean, hopefully, anything can happen, but that's what I'm planning. That's what I'm planning for right now.
So are you like working on it right now?
Well, if I wasn't talking to you guys, I would.
Oh, we're distracting him.
Something I really loved about the game is that it goes through like tonal shifts, at a lot of points, which weren't always expected. What's sort of the tone of the game overall?
Yeah, so the end has a tonal shift, and actually, I was surprised at how much of an effect that had on people. Like, I didn't think it was that
spooky.
Strong. I didn't think it, to me, well, I guess I'm biased, right? Obviously.
Right.
I didn't think it was that spooky. So when people are like, oh my, this is really just messed up, I actually a little surprised, but I guess it works out.
It was really cool, like very unexpected, and also just like made my heart like explode.
Really?
That's interesting. I guess it's sort of like how like your own jokes aren't as funny to you than they are of other people. Like it's like it came from your own head, so it doesn't seem as spooky to you as compared to someone else who's seeing it for the first time.
Something like that. Like even because I tested a lot with people before I released it, and even then people would say it's spooky, but I thought, they're just being nice, or I don't know. But yeah, but actually a lot of stuff in that was supposed to be funny, but people don't laugh at it.
Maybe because it was so unexpected, the shift in tone. So I was just already so scared. I can't tell what's funny anymore.
It's funny. It's funny you say that. Like right before you came on, we were just this morning talking about the overlap between comedy and horror, and how there's a lot, because they're kind of all about timing and being surprising. I think it makes sense. Yeah,
with horror, like it's like horror, sometimes it's like the breakdown of order, right? Like all the things that you thought turns out they were a lie, or they go wrong or something.
Right.
Comedy is, to me, I think of it as related to that, because it's sort of like there's a twist. It's something that surprises you. It's something that is outside the standard order of things. So there is a relationship between them, and that's kind of why I thought it'd be appropriate to put them together.
Yeah, totally. They're both about subverting your expectations. Yeah. I agree with that.
Is the rest of the game sort of like going to continue to take those shifts?
I think so. Like, I mean, when appropriate. Like, I mean, you mentioned Mother 3. Like, in Mother 3, one thing they do is, I think, like right after a certain very important character dies, I like her husband, like, her father, like, makes a fart joke to her husband.
Right.
And it's like completely inappropriate. And like, I don't know if even you could do that nowadays, to be honest with you.
Right.
But that's sometimes what real life is like, right? If you've ever been in a tragic situation, sometimes people make jokes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's just how things work. So I'll if I see another opportunity, I might do that more.
I think that, and I think this is part of what makes it work well for your game, for Starstruck. Mother like Mother 3 and like Coraline, I think that their moments of horror of spookiness work well because they have a very like cute art style. So your guard is kind of lowered, so you're not bracing yourself for something spooky, and seeing something like cute and on the surface like innocent being unsettling. It's like people don't expect that to happen, so it's more startling.
I could see that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like little nightmares.
yeah. Are there any? Is there anything else you're working on currently?
I don't think I have time for it.
Yeah, I couldn't.
I barely have time to do Starstruck, so I don't know. Unfortunately, I'm not. That's my main, or fortunately, I don't know. But anyway, that's my main thing right now. So
I hear a lot of stories from developers about how difficult, like how much of a just time suck it is to work on a game. How do you find yourself struggling to like balance kind of work life doing that?
Well, not now because I can't have a life right now.
Right.
So that's been I guess that's worked well with what I'm doing. But yeah, I mean, like if you think about it, this is my first game, so I'm starting out. I can only speak for myself here. I can't speak for the other people involved. But since I'm starting out, sometimes when you start out at something new, like then it takes a lot of time at first. Like I remember when I first started at my first job, it was a lot tougher. You spent a lot more time working at first. So I think that's just kind of sometimes how things work.
Right.
Better or worse. Yeah.
Well, I'm like, I love the game. I'm very excited for the finished product. And thank you so much for talking to us. And how can people stay up to date with the game?
So the best thing you could do if you're interested in the game is go onto Steam and add it to your wish list, because that's sort of like, that tells Steam, oh, this game is interesting, and then Steam starts to consider it more.
Is that better than just downloading it?
Well, no, I mean downloading and playing it, that'd be the best thing, right? But
okay.
But it also if you do that and then you like the game, then you can add it to your wish list, and also you'll know when it comes out if you do that too. But also there's a Twitter account too. It's at Play Starstruck, where I post like weekly updates on development and stuff like that. So those are two good places to keep up with the game.
Hell yeah. Cake just posted the Twitter handle in the chat. And the game is currently, Starstruck Prologue is currently free on Steam.
Yes.
So there's no reason not to play it. It's great.
It's great. It's excellent.
Yeah. So everyone check that out. Want to thank you once again for coming on, and we wish you luck with the rest of quarantine and development.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Same to you. Thanks for talking to me today. It was fun.
Thanks for being here, and we look forward to the game.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye.